The following story discusses individuals connected to the case of Danny Harris. Except for those previously convicted in this matter, no one mentioned in this series has been officially named a suspect, person of interest, or found guilty of any crime related to his death.
So the judge didn't even wait for the investigation that the JRU was going to do?
Nope.
What do you think is happening?
So, I guess what we were talking about is that, it shouldn't be so difficult when people have evidence that proves they're innocent to get back to the courthouse.
Jason Gishner submitted the PCECN to the Memphis court, the packet we covered last episode, full of all the new evidence they collected. Then they waited to see if it would earn them a hearing, a chance to argue Andrew's case. But on November 15th, 2024, Judge Poliskane returned the answer. Denied.
So this puts us in a terrible posture because now we have to appeal just to get a hearing. And the appeal process is slow and long and more difficult. She never even let us come to court and talk about it.
Has this ever happened before in Shelby County for you?
No, this is the first time in Shelby County a judge has ever not let us have a hearing. I can only hope that the appellate court sees it for what it is and lets the man have his hearing.
The appeal date was set for August 2025, one real shot at overturning Andrew's conviction. Because if it doesn't work, more than likely, his story ends here. I'm Stephanie Tinsley, and this is Everything They Missed. Episode 6, The Years.
Mom. Huh? Put it over there by Drake, baby. Censor yourself some. Girl, please.
You don't have to censor yourself, and neither do you.
Baby, I'm gonna need for her to censor her. Girl, please. God, I'm talking to you, Lord.
It had been months since I started the podcast when a small crew and I took a drive to Frazier, a neighborhood just on the north side of Memphis. I had nerves, the kind that catch your breath when you're about to ask a mother, one who's lived through a hard loss, to trust you with their story. But she didn't flinch. Andrew's mom, Flora Hayes, welcomed the idea.
I have 5 kids.
And Andrew or Wayne is?
My firstborn. I was 15 when I had Wayne.
And did his dad stay in his life?
Somewhat, but no, it was mainly me and my mom, Sylvia Hayes, that raised him. My mom always told me that the firstborn child belongs to her. So the minute we get out of the hospital, that's her baby. And he just grew up to that.
Time doesn't move so fast in Frazier. The houses are small, put up on old brick, some barely hanging on, grass creeping in the cracks. But there's heart in it too. A kind of pride that lives alongside the porches and flower pots. And when we pull up to Flora's, before we could step out of the car, that pride greeted us. A whole family poured out of her home. Flora, her husband, Andrew's younger sister, LaConda, her son, Andrew's little brother, D'Angelo, and his 3-year-old, all of them wide-eyed and excited to have us there. It took a minute, but then I noticed a big kid as well, a teenager with shoulders like a college linebacker. My friend Elizabeth leaned over to me and whispered, "I think that's Tamarian, Andrew's son." We all crammed into Flora's living room, and when she began to speak, although you could feel the energy buzzing, they gave her the floor. Like they knew this wasn't just her story, but all of theirs.
So, when did you realize that Wayne had some differences?
I want to say when Wayne got about a year old, he started like rocking or lay him in the bed and he was sitting and just like bump his head on a pillow until he fall asleep. And so we took him to the doctor for that. And we found out that he had bad nerves.
And that's all the doctor told you, that he just said bad
And he
nerves?
said that hopefully that Wayne would grow out of it one day. But he never did.
I could immediately tell Flora is the kind of mother who likes to tell it straight, firm but loving. She was never about to let her son give up on himself. When Andrew didn't want to get on the school bus, she said, "You're not different. You're just a little behind." And that's no excuse to stop trying. Though Andrew kept at it, he struggled with school. But he was a good kid. Never arrested, never in trouble with police. He played double dutch and freeze tag until dark, joined dance battles and rap circles around the neighborhood. By 17, he was working a corner store job. That's when he met Tawana. Not long after, she was pregnant. They moved in together and life started speeding up.
And so when Tamarion was born, how did Wayne react?
The joy of his life. He had a son. And that was his main conversation from that day forward. My son was the best dad. He kept him with him. She didn't have to worry about taking care of him. She didn't have to buy him anything. She didn't have to do anything. Every time he left home, he had him.
After Tamarion was born, Andrew and Tawana ended up living with Tawana's mother, Snow. Flora didn't like it, said there was something about her that just didn't sit right. It was over at Snow's place that she also met Tammy Vance for the first time, another woman who, in Flora's eyes, couldn't be trusted. Not long after that, everything unraveled.
When he went down there for questioning, no more Wayne. So I go to work and come home, and my mom sitting on the porch. And she was like, "No, he ain't came back home yet." So I automatically started calling 201. I wanted to talk to someone that was questioning him. No one ever would return my phone calls. The next thing I know, he's being arrested for murder.
Why were you calling up to the police station?
Because Wayne has a learning disability. A lot of stuff y'all are going to tell him, he's not going to understand it. So me being his parent, I think I should have been there for when you started questioning him. A lot of times you could tell him something that's like, he really didn't comprehend. You have to sit there and explain it to him.
Did it surprise you that he confessed?
Well, to be honest, with his nerves condition, and he probably was just plumb stressing out of his mind. So eventually he just said some stuff to satisfy them.
Back then, Flora was a single mother raising 5 kids with the help of her own mama, scraping by just to keep the lights on and the school supplies in their backpacks. Hiring a lawyer, that was out of reach. So they did what families like hers so often have to do. They prayed.
I sat there from the first day of trial till trial ended. I was there. I didn't get any sleep. I just mainly wanted to see what was gonna happen to my son. I really thought he was coming home.
So when you heard guilty, what did you think?
That knocked soul out of me. My whole world just dropped. I mean, after that, I think I stayed off work like 2 weeks trying to comprehend that verdict.
So with Wayne being locked up for Danny's murder, if he didn't commit the murder, that means the real killer's still out there.
Yes, ma'am.
What would you say to that person?
I would tell that person is that you really hurt this family. I mean, you really tore us down. That now we're trying to rebuild. And you're out living your best life while he's been convicted of something he didn't do. You don't have a conscience. I don't judge, because God is going to judge you in the end. But have a heart. Be compassionate. You had him locked up and he had a newborn baby. He wasn't here to see his son grow up. That threw him down the wrong road. Just turn yourself in. Because I miss my son. I just turned 59. My son been gone. Took 18 years. Over 18 years. I can't do it. And I think about them telling my mom that he's coming home. But he hasn't made it back home yet.
Who told your mom he was coming home?
Tammy. She was like, I'm gonna make it right. It wasn't right. It wasn't right for him to even be locked up.
Do you feel like you have to be strong for the whole family?
I have to. They look up to me. So when I cry, I'm by myself. I try not to let them see me down. And my strength ain't here no more. My mom gone.
How did your mom feel when?
She kept telling me, hold on, baby, he coming home. Plumb up to the day my mom passed. I didn't want to have to tell him that news, and he was in there.
I watch as Flora, just shy of 60 years old, proud, stoic, start to shift. The strength she's carried for decades begins to give away.
Get myself together. Okay.
You want to take a sip of water or anything?
I'm good. I am so good.
You're so good.
I'm good. It's just some tears I needed to cry.
When I look around the room, it's dead quiet. Everyone's doing their best, eyes glazed, to hold it in. But Tamarian, Andrew's son, perched on the arm of the sofa, is unraveling. The tears are pouring. He's just drowning.
He's been locked up his entire son life. From an infant baby to 18 years. He's 18 now.
What makes you cry, sweetie?
Me knowing that my father didn't do that.
Scoot closer to you, Grandma, sweetie.
Come on over, baby.
Without a second thought, Tamarian reaches for the mic like he's been holding it in his whole life.
It affected me hard because I'm going through the system right now. I have been in jail 2 times since the age of 15. I haven't had a real father figure. So the decisions I made, I haven't had no one to teach me the right from the wrong. I mean, my mom, she tried, but she can't do it all. And me knowing that my father could be with me today, it hurts because I haven't seen him. I don't know what my father looked like. Like they said, I'm finna be 19. I haven't seen my father. I don't know him. I never seen him. And he's supposed to be here with us.
Tamarian is a football player, a good one. It was his compass until injuries and getting caught up in the wrong crowd knocked him off course. He's seen and experienced horrible things. He says he once watched Memphis police gun down a close friend 21 shots, then they cuffed his body as he lay still. At 15, he was locked up for nearly 3 years. From inside the system, he graduated high school, top of his class. And now he's on probation, an angle monitor strapped on, football scholarships just out of reach. And at the root of it all, a father taken away. A father he's never met. I look at this kid, a good kid, and think, how do you grow up from that? How do you even begin to make sense of the world around you?
I think about this every day. If my dad was here, I wouldn't be doing just the stuff I'm doing now. In the streets, running wild, toting guns and stuff. I wouldn't be doing that. It'd be different.
I explained it to Marion what the Innocence Project is working toward. That they believe his father is innocent, that the case isn't over, and they're appealing the judge's dismissal. And if he had a message for his father, what would he say?
It's a process.
Say again?
It's a process. Just trust the process and trust the people that believe in you. Yeah, it's a process. It's gonna take a while, but in the end, just know, justice, it will be served.
We start to pack up when LaConda, Andrew's younger sister, bubbly, bold, bouncing with energy, bursts out of the front door gleaming, "The Avengers are here! The Justice Avengers are here!"
The Avengers on our side. The Avengers. You know, part of the Avengers.
Soft and steady, Flora also whispers to me, "Something's going to change because you're here." Suddenly, I feel a glimpse at what it must be like to be part of the Innocence Project team, with nothing but a notepad and a family full of hope looking back at you, eyes asking, "Will you be the one to save Andrew?" At this point, I was trying everything I could to help Andrew's case. I even managed to get connected to Sarah Lucas. You might remember at the end of the last episode, through a mutual friend of hers on Facebook, I sent a message hoping she'd agree to meet. But the response came back through that friend, Sarah wasn't interested. No interview. No involvement. I told myself that was okay, that the pressure wasn't on me, that the real work was in the hands of Jason Gishner and his team. But then, August came.
Yeah, so the petition was denied because, in essence, the judge found that nothing was new, that there was no new evidence.
With the original hearing denied, I wanted to understand why. Not from Jason or his team, they're in the fight. I wanted to hear from someone outside of it. Someone who could cut through the legal jargon and tell me in plain English what it all meant. So I called a friend, Noah Pines, a sharp Atlanta defense attorney who's handled wrongful convictions himself, to walk me through it.
What they were trying to do in this petition is say, like, look, we have something new. And because of that newness, there's new evidence and he's innocent. And the problem is that the new evidence wasn't really new. It was all stuff that just really wasn't presented. And there's nothing that, even if it was newly discovered, there's nothing that really shows actual innocence. The fact that somebody else says somebody else did it isn't new, and it's not actual innocence. I mean, he could have still been there and been some sort of a co-conspirator or a party.
I later learned that Judge Skane had issued a 38-page report explaining why she denied a hearing. That's what Noah had read before we spoke.
So what they had told me, the Innocence Project lawyers, is they've got affidavits now from Sarah Lucas's nieces and nephews that they couldn't have gotten at the time, saying it's not a secret in our family that Sarah did this and everybody talks about it.
But that's not new. That's new corroborating, right? I mean, is that new? Not really. The question is, well, what would have been new? What could have been done? Well, maybe if you could have proved that he was in another state, and you have video evidence of him in that other state, that's new evidence. Or something, really groundbreaking, that everything that the police said was, planted or something like that. But unfortunately, it's a rehashing of what they had before in a better way. It's repackaged and it's done better and more concise and more persuasive. But the problem is you can't do that now. It's too late. It's sad, reading the orders from the judge, but they're legally sound. And, the Innocence Project would have to show that there's clear and convincing evidence that Andrew's innocent. And that's a hard burden. Not just that he could be innocent, but the clear and convincing that he's innocent. And all of the stuff that they brought up doesn't prove that. It's so hard to do this. It's almost impossible. I mean, that's the reality, is this is almost impossible.
August 4th, 2025. That was the date set for Andrew's appeal in front of the Tennessee State Court of Appeals. After hearing Noah's opinion, I was nervous how it would unfold, but I told myself I'd stay optimistic.
Good morning, Your Honors.
Good morning.
Jason Gishner on behalf of Mr. Hayes. It is my first time appearing before two of you, and I'm grateful to be here with you today.
Mr. Gishner.
Gishner.
Great, you may proceed.
Thank you.
That morning, I drove to Jackson, Tennessee to watch in person. Inside the courtroom, Jason stood alone at a curved podium. 3 judges in black robes staring back at him. To his right sat a fellow Innocence Project attorney. To his left, Ronald Coleman, arguing for the state. Jason took his shot. Maybe the last one Andrew will ever get.
The primary issue I'd like to discuss this morning is the trial court's misapplication of the Clardy decision by denying equitable tolling.
All I was hoping, all anyone was hoping, was that the judges would see things like we did.
First of all, we have 5 new witnesses that are willing to come to court that say that Sarah Lucas confessed to this
Do any
murder.
of those witnesses have firsthand knowledge that Mr. Hayes did not commit this offense?
So Tyler Landers does.
Firsthand knowledge.
Yeah, he overheard a conversation, which is in his affidavit, between Sarah Lucas and his mother, Heather Balderas, who was Sarah
How is that
Lucas'
firsthand
sister.
knowledge? That is
Well, he has firsthand knowledge
double
of the confession.
hearsay.
Well, he heard her say that she committed the crime.
But that fear tore at me. What if they saw it the way Noah Pines had?
So you're asking this court to make credibility determinations about a witness in an affidavit?
I'm asking this court, per Clardy, to assume what these people say is true and that their credibility should be tested at a hearing.
Clardy doesn't require us to get to that point until you establish in your petition that the evidence is new evidence, which presupposes that it is admissible. You've not demonstrated that yet.
And in the end, it felt like that's exactly what happened.
Those 5 family members are going to say exactly what the mother testified to at the defendant's trial. And that is, she was covering for the daughter because the daughter is the one who actually did this. That was testimony at trial that the jury rejected. And that, to me, is part of what the Eric Coram Nobis court was trying to say. This is all basically cumulative of what mother testified to at trial.
So they have information beyond what mother said about the financial arrangement, about the circumstances of how the murder happened. But what I would argue, Your Honor, is that if the evidence presented at trial was true and rejected by the jury, and it proves that he was innocent, and we have lots of people after the fact that are going to come in and say, you got it wrong because this person has confessed to committing the crime, and we know the details and circumstances of how she did it, and we can back that up with objective physical evidence that proves it's true, and she did it, and this other guy didn't, that should meet equitable tolling for the purposes of having a hearing. We are not asking you to turn him loose or overturn this conviction. All we're saying is that there is a mountain of evidence in this case that the wrong person is in prison and he can't even get a day in court. that shouldn't be where we are.
Jason ended strong, but I walked out of the courtroom that day feeling distraught.
Well, I do not think it went well.
Yeah.
I do not. I do not.
Did they ask the question of what would a hearing have done?
Yes. Well, they just asked why he thought that this was new evidence. I mean, that's what they really were hammering home.
On the drive home, I called my husband Mark just to download it all, to talk through what had happened, how it really felt.
I mean, he was well prepared. He argued very well. He had his case law. They let him argue well over his 20 minutes. So he's got 20 minutes, 16 minutes to argue, and then 4 minutes for a rebuttal. He argued well over that both times. But, you know, they were pretty much they asked a lot of questions. The lady judge was the one that asked the most questions. And, you know, she was just basically saying, none of this seems new.
What was the state's position? What did the state say?
That Judge Skane was right. And I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's all kind of running together. But it's on, Elizabeth is watching it right now. It's already on YouTube. But, you know, I think one of the things the state was saying was it doesn't prove that Andrew wasn't there. You know, it doesn't matter if... Why do you
technically, if he didn't know Annie Harris, it does prove he wasn't there. But I don't disagree. That's not new. But
Jason was trying to argue that the totality of all of it shows that he's not, because he kept trying to argue the case, and one of the judges stopped him and said, "We're not arguing the case." But I don't know. I mean, I think you'll watch it and you'll say the same thing that you said when you read the petition. Judge Skane wrote a very thoughtful belt and suspenders response, and, you know, there's nothing new.
Unfortunately.
No one said it outright, but I could feel it. We might have just seen the moment that decides everything. So why do you prefer Andrew over Wayne?
Because, Andrew is the person who went through it. To me, I just feel like Andrew was the strongest one that could have went through it with the storm that I'm going through.
Fast forward, it's October 2025 now, and there's been no ruling, no sign, not even a whisper of what the answer might be.
You know, I thought my life was over. It's a Jason came. I got tired. Ever since I met Jason, he's an angel. That's all I can say.
I started listening back to my interview with Andrew and remembered our visits inside the prison. I couldn't see a killer in him. It just didn't make sense. By every measure, logic, reason, and just gut instinct, he was an innocent man. And he wasn't just sitting still either. Jason had made him promise that if the Innocence Project took his case, he'd earn his GED. At the time, he was only weeks away from graduating. Hearing the fight in his voice, I couldn't stomach the thought of the worst answer coming back, of watching the hope drain from him as someone breaks the news. Because if this appeal failed, the paths left to clear his name would only get harder, fainter.
I think people do need to hear it, though. How it's easy to get caught up in things when you really innocent. To be honest with you, I just pray that other people don't have to go through what I'm going through. If you don't have to go through it, you shouldn't have to go through it. And this is my journey. You know, this is Andrew's journey that God put me on there. He knew that I was strong enough to stand. And this journey taught me a lot about life. You know, you can't take life for granted once you're out there in the free world, because it can get snatched from you just like that. I was just staying focused.
are the things that I need to stay focused on, things that I need to succeed with in life when they do come up before.
By nature, I've never been great at waiting around either, especially when something feels unfinished. And that wait was killing me. I felt like there had to be something more we could do, something we hadn't seen yet. So I got to work.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those cases where you have to be in their face, kind of like being how to know how to approach them, as far as being able to be subtle in the approach and letting them know that it's just about a documentary, and
Right. Yeah. Through Clark Chapman, I got connected with a private investigator who goes by one letter, Q. He's been in the game for decades. A ghost when he wants to be, a shadow when he doesn't. One minute he's slipping into a Memphis dope house, the next blending into a white linen restaurant. His business is people, especially the ones who'd rather stay hidden. He tracks them, corners them, drags them into the light, and with his help, though it costs more than a few pennies, we finally started shaking things loose.
Okay, I've got, she's juror 51. I've got 44. He was the office manager.
We started with the jurors. It wasn't something I'd really seen done in a true crime podcast before, but I wanted to know, who were these people? How did they think? What stuck with them after all this time? You've already heard from a few in the trial episode, but after we had so much success with them, I posed another possibility. I would love to know if you would want to go try to find Sarah and try to talk to her. I don't know if you could.
Well, if Sarah's the interested missing piece,
she is.
If she's the missing piece, I tell you catch her. It would take maybe a little minor background check and then a little small surveillance, and find out what the information is the right information, and just go out there and see her.
He quoted me a price. It was high, higher than I wanted to spend just to find one person. And knowing she had already spoken to the Innocence Project investigator and given him the runaround, I was skeptical we'd get anything new. But Q was confident. Based on how she'd acted before, how she bragged about the murders to family, he believed there was a way in, a way to get her talking again.
So I'll tell you what, I'm going to find her. I'm going to get her.
I believe you. I have no doubt. And you will be the first one that's been able to, because nobody else has been able to.
I'll get her.
I know you
I'll get her. We'll get it going.
Based on her last known whereabouts and what we could find online, we were pretty sure Sarah was living in Duncan, Oklahoma. We just didn't know where. So Q drove up to find out.
Okay, this is my second day here in Duncan. Man, I've been to about 15 different addresses the last 2 days. She's been seen at a store twice. Lad's been spotted like 2 or 3 times. I've seen somebody seen Sarah last week. But they've moved from all these different addresses. But tonight, I've got 3 of the same addresses. I'm going to go back tonight to see if anybody's going to be there car-wise.
Feeling like he was just missing her by inches, we decided to switch tactics. He started looking for Gary Rydell, Sarah's husband.
I'm going to go back to the 2 addresses that I've got new on Gary Rydell, because that's probably where Sarah's going to be. They're together. But then I looked at Facebook. He keeps telling her he loves her and he wants, she's his whatever. You probably need to look at it. Have you got her Facebook page?
What makes these love notes stranger is we were also able to see that Gary is living with a woman named Ricole, who happens to be married to someone else. Regardless of whatever was going on in this tangled circle, one thing was clear. If Q could find Gary, Sarah probably wouldn't be far behind.
Okay, all right, here's where we are. Just met the twin sister of Gary Rydell. They don't talk. He's a crook. Sister says that he's trying to do everything he can to sell stuff and said he owes everybody's money and everything. Now, also, Sarah, she OD'd on some drugs and her medication. They're saying Sarah's threatening amputation of her foot, so she's bad off. No telling, it's no telling where she'll be. But Sarah's bad off wherever she is.
We've been told, but have not been able to confirm, that Sarah may have suffered an overdose. True or not, she's having significant health issues, and somewhere in Duncan, Oklahoma, in some hospital bed, Sarah Lucas is hanging on by a thread. And that's when a major realization hits me.
What if Sarah is so bad off she wants to make a deathbed confession?
The window is closing. Her words, her full account of what actually happened that night, may be the only thing that can save Andrew from dying in prison. And if she really is near the end, what does she have to lose? With a bit more pushing, Q connects with Sarah's father and lands the final clue.
Which hospital is Sarah in? It's a rehab across the street, hospital across the street from Integra Savage right there in Oklahoma City.
With the name of the hospital in hand, Sarah's location, Q makes a plan. What happens next is something I can't quite share yet. And actually, this is where I have to pause the story. Don't worry, it's not over, not even close. As I record these words, we're still investigating. But since we're trying to keep up with the new breaks in this case, here's what we're going to do. We're taking a short break. We'll return in 2 months with 4 final episodes where new leads emerge, new people come forward, and the truth keeps changing faster than we can tell it. What I can say for certain is that what's coming next might just change everything they missed.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, ma'am. I need a officer and an ambulance. There was a suicide.
There was a suicide?
He just came up and all that night. He looked at her. He said, "Sarah, I'm sorry," took a gun and blew his brains out.
I think you need to listen to the conversation because you're recording me, right?
I'm recording you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's go in like that. Let's go in hot like that. Stay on the line.
What I was wanting to get straightened out is why would Snow not help
they
Andrew?
Wouldn't she wouldn't help him. She told me she wouldn't help him because even I was into it about money. Snow wanted money. From me, you, everybody.
I think it's over. There's got to be some actual new evidence. We need a witness to come forward. We need to find something that's genuinely new.
I know that God got something for me. He got something for me because if he didn't, I won't be going through what I'm going through right now.
It's just sickening. I mean, there's no joy in this. There's no joy in this. What fucking joy is this? There's no joy in this. None.
You're never going to believe who reached out to me last night over X. This message flips the entire case on its head. I can't even believe this is happening.